Hello, hello. Testing, testing.
All right, perfect. It's great to have you here. I'm very excited to meet you for the first time, make your acquaintance.
Oh, great pleasure. Thanks, Evan.
I've just got a couple questions for you, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll
You're
just get
fine. You're
started
fine.
if
I'm
that's.
between lessons here, so you're dandy.
Uh, so, from what I've heard, back in the 1980s, you were an actor with the San Jose Repertory Theater Company. Is that
True
correct?
enough. That is correct. Yeah.
Uh,
And that's
do
how
you,
I met Charles.
yeah. Do you remember how you first got into acting and when you might have joined that group?
I got into acting in grammar school. There was a production of I think it's a Nathaniel Hawthorne play called Feathertop about a scarecrow that comes to life. Tall, skinny guy, of course, gets cast as the scarecrow. And the way he's animated by the witch, who's the real protagonist of the story, is he smokes a pipe. And so we rehearsed the play and we did the thing. This was in sixth grade or something, you know. And then during the performance, somebody decided to be more kind of give a touch of realism to the thing, that they would put some talcum powder in the pipe that I was presumably smoking. And I
Hmm.
took a big, inhaled a big draft of talcum powder, and the show had to be canceled. So,
Oh man.
an inauspicious start to my acting career. But then after that, in high school, my brother and I both did plays in high school, and then all the way through college, I majored in theater. And then let's see, was that have been right before San Jose Rep? I was out with a little touring show called the Royal Liechtenstein Circus,
Oh,
and
okay.
it wasn't exactly acting then. It was kind of variety entertainment, all kinds of things: wire walking and sword swallowing, and trained house cats, and
Oh, that's awesome.
magic and all kinds of stuff. But then coming back, a bunch of my college pals, David Lemos, a fellow I graduated with, had fired up the San Jose Repertory Company. And that's, I got involved in that first as a stage manager because I'd been doing that on the road with the circus
Right.
as well as performing. And then acting, and Charles and I were in a production of The Importance of Being Earnest together as the two protagonists there, and just got to be great pals right off the bat, which I'm sure happens with everybody that's ever met Charles. You know,
Oh
he's just
yeah.
such a great fella.
I met him at a convention a couple of years back. Very, very nice guy.
Isn't he a great guy? He's a
Yeah.
totally cool, sincere guy. I love that guy.
Um, I I also read on your Facebook that at one point you were an announcer for Marine World. Marine World.
This
Sorry.
is me. You're exposing my whole checkered career here, Evan. Yes. Yeah, announcing, killer whale and dolphin and sea lion and lion and tiger and ski shows and all that sort of stuff. That was shortly after. That was kind of in between times. I think that was kind of during summer vacation or winter vacation between San Jose Rep and Marine World announcing stuff.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I have never had a part like that. I've done a bit of audio work, but I've never like done an announcing gig. Do you know how you might have? Was it like a cast thing, or did you just know someone who was?
It was pretty much I knew someone who knew someone kind of thing, as these things so
Uh,
often happen, you know. Somebody called me up one day and said, you know, there's a circus themed show going on at Marine World that you might be good for since you've just come off the road with this little circus. Perhaps you want to call this guy who's a pal of mine and see. So we got to talking on the phone. He said, yeah, come on in, come on in. Once I got there, he said, well, the circus themed show is the bird show, and it's all women wearing spangly outfits and leotards and tights and top hats. And he said, I don't think it'd be suitable for that show, but you got a nice enough voice. Why don't you try announcing? And so I did announce for the park for the next 4 years, I guess. What a great gig for a guy in his 20s, early 30s. Marine World announcing shows. It's kind of a festival day every day, you know, a
yeah.
party day. Great place to meet people, really smart, funny people working there, and animals, and it was a terrific job.
Awesome. Um, Now, from what I understand, Charles, like you said, was one of your friends and acting buddies from your time at the theater.
Yeah,
And he chose you to be his backup voice for the Mario in real time stuff.
precisely. Yeah.
Uh, do you remember how that process of like him asking you to be the voice double and getting ready for all that sort of thing? Do you know how that might have?
I think it was just, you know, we were still very much in touch at that point, years later. And we used to see each other at auditions all the time for various gigs around San Francisco, voiceover things or on camera stuff. Charles was doing tons and tons of industrial videos at the time, was an absolute champ at that kind of thing, with this sort of ear monitor thing where he'd have what he needed to say recorded so he didn't have to have a script in front of him. And he could listen to himself while he was talking to the camera and explaining the widgets and the whatnots that he was selling. He was brilliant at that. A lot of work doing that. So we used to see each other at various auditions for things because both tall, skinny comic types. We'd end up at the same auditions and stayed in touch. And then one day he said, I'm doing this thing with Nintendo. Would you be interested in doing in kind of trading off with me? I can't do this thing for 8 hours a day. I'm going to need to take some breaks. And so we got involved in the kind of the construction of the first helmet that we used, which was very analog. It was wires attached to our faces and worm drives on a helmet. But it was really super cool. We got to go to this makeup shop and have our heads cast in plaster, and the helmets were built for our heads. And
I think I might have an image of that. I'm going to post it in the chat if that's all right.
Sure.
Oh, that did not go how I thought it did. There we go.
Oh, there it is. That's it. All right. Yeah. Sure thing. Comfortable? No, but effective. Yes. And what Charlie's doing there is putting the mask on me, and all of those things that are up here on the front of the helmet are little worm drives, very mechanical. So that as a wire moves through the worm drive, it drives a little capstan and spins something. And then the computer that this whole thing is attached to, which was immense at the time, it was small it was a really small mainframe kind of computer. Huge computing power for the time that I think is probably what we have available now in our iPhones. And that's how the thing worked. And we would trade off getting each other in and out of our various helmets and attaching things and getting them fine-tuned and all the rest. There was quite a lot of legwork involved in getting the system up and running. Mario in real time, MERT, we called it.
Oh, you called it MERT, like, as an acronym?
As an acronym, yeah. Mario in real time, MERT.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And, I know that I originally contacted you about Mario stuff, but I also do want to know about you and your careers and whatnot. And I understand that you left acting to pursue a spot in your band back in 1998. I believe it was the Waybacks, or was that later down the line?
The Waybacks would have been about 98. And it just sort of was a natural thing. I had lived in Los Angeles for a number of years and decided I didn't want to live my life on a freeway. At the time, there were no video auditions. There were no audio auditions that you could do at your house and send in. You had to go to all of these places physically, and it was just driving around Los Angeles is no way to live.
Oh, yeah.
And I was getting some gigs, and I thought, if I get any better at this, I'm going to have to live here forever, and that's going to be terrible. So I moved back to the Bay Area and got busy with, it was a little before the band stuff happened, a lot of commercial acting stuff, a lot of comic roles and commercials and voiceovers and that kind of stuff, and still playing music kind of in bars and whatnot. The acting, I don't think I had a straight acting gig. Excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze here momentarily. Yes, here it comes. That's you. Oh, come on. Oh, the suspense kills me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Here we go. There you go.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I think the last acting gig I had was in Los Angeles, though. For the Mark Taper Forum, I was the general understudy for a play called Lost Highway, the Hank Williams story. Oh. And I think that was the last theater gig I had done. And then did a lot of still more commercial acting and the occasional film and television and voiceover thing. And then the Waybacks came along just because, musicians get to know each other. And I started playing with a buddy, and he said, well, I have this other buddy. Why don't we bring him in? And so the three of us formed this originally a fully acoustic trio. And then things expanded. A bass player and a drummer were added so that we could, kind of play bigger places. And then two of those guys, when we started touring, A couple of those guys had to stick around. They couldn't go out on tour with us, so they were replaced with other players. And just that kind of natural progression of bands that start with a couple of guys meeting each other at somebody else's gig, often.
Yeah.
And the Maybachs ran for started off, like I say, as the acoustic trio, and then morphed into a quintet that did a lot of touring for a lot of years. I was with it through 2007, and then came off the road, and then toured solo for another 5 years after that. And just to kind of speed right along, after that, I was coming back from a set of gigs up in the Pacific Northwest. The anchor gig up there was a show called the Moisture Festival. Seattle has that, so they feature it. The Moisture Festival is a variety arts festival. It's vaudeville, essentially. All kinds of acts, music and comedy, and circus skills, magic, all kinds of fabulous stuff. I was coming back from that as the anchor gig and a bunch of other gigs along the way between here and Seattle, between San Francisco and Seattle. And driving back, I thought, wow, you know what? I'm done. I'm done touring. It wasn't sort of, I'm done touring. It was, wow, how about that? I'm through with this. I wonder what the next thing is. And it was fine. I thought, this has been great. I've toured for years and years with one thing and another between the circus and the Waybacks and then solo. I'd been on the road for a long, long time. And as the old story goes, the life of the touring musician, where the glamour just never begins,
Yeah.
And the glamour done wore off by that time. And I thought, I wonder what's next. And the very next day, my niece, who owned and owns a music store, said, we're taking over the enormous space next door to our little tiny shop. We can't use all the square footage. Would you, meaning me, want to do any sort of guitar shop? Have you ever thought about that? And I hadn't. And here I am 12 years later in Mighty Fine Guitars. This is my shop.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yep. Lucky me. I'm the luckiest guy I know. It's a true fact. Things just sort of, it's like Tetris, the old computer game. Things just
they
kind
like fit into place.
Occasionally had to give it a little twist, but things would pretty much dropped into place. Been so lucky.
Man, that's really cool. Do you have anything you'd like to advertise about the store to anybody?
Oh, well, I suppose I can give you just a little picture of it here, I think. There's just one wall. It's all acoustic guitars, because I don't know my way around the electric or the classical world at all. So these are steel string acoustic guitars, all really high end. It's kind of a spendy shop. And I get to be very picky about what comes in. It's all consignment. I don't own any of the guitars. It's a great thing. When my niece offered me the space here, she said, and by the way, there's a guy in the town next door here who's selling his business. Maybe you could pick up his inventory cheap. And I thought, I don't want to buy inventory. I know a whole bunch of guys that have guitars that they're not playing, but they would love to have a place to. So I contacted a bunch of them and they all said, oh yeah, can I send you 2 tomorrow? And I contacted a bunch of builders I knew that showed their guitars once every 2 years at this fabulous guitar show that used to be up here in Northern California. And they all said, oh, hell yeah, can I send you 2 tomorrow? So proof of concept has been there. And I have, again, lucky me, the best job in the world. I sit here doing my thing. I update the website. I answer email. I talk on the phone. I chat with nice people on Zoom. And people walk in with guitars and say, for XYZ reason, I'm not playing this guitar. Somebody should. So let's move it along. And sometimes I have to be that guy on Antiques Roadshow that says, oh, it's really lovely. Take it home and enjoy it with your family, but it's not what you think it is, and I can't really help you sell it. But sometimes I get to be that guy on Antiques Roadshow that says, holy smokes, do you know what you have here? And I get to be very selective about what comes in. And a lot of small builders are represented here. There's the legacy guitars, Martin Gibson Guild, some of those, but there's lots. This is really the golden age of guitar building. And I get to feature a lot of those builders in here. And I give lessons as well. Today's a lesson day. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are lessons. Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are all about shopping.
Perfect. I do have just a few more questions. I'm almost at the end of my list.
Take your time. I'm hanging loose.
Oh, perfect. Now, I know you voiced Mario and Wario when he came around. Did Charles make that voice, or was that sort of a collaborative effort between you two?
Oh, no. Charlie came up with the voices, for sure.
For
And
Wario
I
as well?
did my best to stumble along and duplicate them during his breaks. We kind of would split the day up, and then kind of keep an eye on the crowd. We'd go out front at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, and kind of keep an eye on the crowd and see what bits worked and what bits didn't work, and come back and say, well, let's do this and this, and let's drop that, and let's hang on to this, and maybe we can try this. And we ended up having a whole grab bag of things that we could do, and the crowd would change every few minutes. We'd be riffing with a group of folks, and they'd move along because they'd see something they had to check out, and another group would come in, so we'd find out the stuff that worked. And it got to be very popular. It was a great stop on the tour because it was completely radical at the time. Nobody had a little animated head that could blink and smile, and the mouth would move when the voice happened. Nobody had that going on a giant, computer screen wall. And there was Mario's head floating around and talking to people. Could clearly see people and make fun of their clothing and life partners, and all kinds of stuff. We had the best time. It was so much fun.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I was there to see it, but a bit too young for that.
I should say.
Now, it has been just about 25 years since you stopped doing the Mario and the Wario voices and whatnot. Now, I sent you a little cheat sheet of the questions I was going to ask before this. I don't know if, were you able to look those over?
Yeah. Anything at all on there is just fine.
All right. I just wanted to make sure before I ask this. Do you think you are still able to do that kind of voice? And if you're willing,
So, Wario, hello. I've forgotten what some of our riffs were. Wario, it was very guttural, as I recall, and forgotten what some of his. We did him, and we did Donkey Kong. Who
you did Donkey Kong as well.
We messed around with that on subsequent years. We did Mario in real time a couple 3 years. I did it with Charles a couple 3 years in a row, and towards the end there, we were introducing other characters. Mario, Wario, Donkey Kong, who was essentially Foghorn Leghorn from. We were essentially doing the Foghorn Leghorn voice for
I saw a video of it on YouTube. It was quite funny.
Yeah. I wish I could remember any of the riffs we had. But yeah, hello there, Wario. Mario, he's such a little sissy boy. Mario didn't like each other very much, as I recall.
Yeah. Would you be maybe willing to give a demonstration of Mario, if that's okay?
Oh, hello there. It's your old pal Mario. It's me. Hello.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. It's
still in there somewhere. Takes a little buffing up, I'm sure, but.
Well, I mean, it's been many years out of practice, but that's wonderful to hear that you still, got it somewhat down pat.
Yeah. Do you remind me that just as I was firing up the shop here 11, 12 years ago, I got a call from Nintendo, from Rick at Nintendo saying, can you come back and do the thing again, trade off times with Charles? And I was putting together the shop. I hated to say no, but I had to decline at the time just because that was just when Mighty Fine Guitars was getting on its feet, and I couldn't leave the shop for weeks at a time, for days at a time at that point.
Do you remember what year that might have been?
That would have been 2012.
Oh, wow.
No. 2012, yeah.
Man, that's really interesting.
And I just hated to say no because it was such a great time. It was such a gas working with Charles and Rick McManus and all those guys were just great fun. It was as much fun afterwards at dinner, as it was during the show, Right. And they'd come back with ideas for bits and comments, and we'd keep a list of the good ones and keep another list of the ones we mustn't use, as well, because there was that list too.
Yeah, the reason I had asked you about the Wario voice in particular, I had seen this video on YouTube, and I'm going to send this over to you. It says that it's Charles, but I'm pretty sure this is you on the recording. And it's you from, I believe, the first time you had done Wario, the first convention.
Let's take a look here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's me there at the beginning here.
Like that? I do some jokes or do a little dance for you?
Yeah, that's me on the Mert at the
That's
moment,
my name.
there.
You can call. Echo. Come and say hello to Mario.
Clicking through and seeing just Mario's. Oh, there's Mario.
Oh, here we are in the blimp. Here's the shot from the blimp.
Yeah, that's me.
Sailing over the
Yeah,
field.
sure. I recognize my own voice.
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting because that video, it was very early days, I'm sure, but it still had a lot of that mean but silly energy about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just
I
thought that
haven't
was,
kept track. Is Wario still mean but silly?
oh yeah, he's have a rotten day. He's a very.
Really good, Evan.
I probably should have told you I'm a voice actor before we started.
I could
this.
tell. I was going to say when you said, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. And I said, but you got a great voice, so
Oh, thank you.
I can sort of tell.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think that's just about all my questions. Oh, I did miss one. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Now, I know you started voicing Mario back in 1991, if I remember correctly.
91 sounds right. Yeah, I think so.
And that continued up until 1998 when you had... Because I think you were at E3 in 1998 at one point.
Oh, golly. I don't recall what the years are. There were several years, yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, were there ever times that you couldn't make it to an event or anything like that?
I don't recall that. It was such a good gig. I would have put most of the things aside. And I would have done that in 2012 as well, had I been able to. But it was just at a critical time when the Mighty Fine Guitarist was getting going, and I had to respectfully and sadly decline.
Sure.
But no, I think I made it to all the ones I was invited to. And the system got easier. I wonder if I've never really talked with Charles about this, but I think the system got so much easier to use that it was much less stress getting in and out of the rig. Was quite an operation, and Mario would be down for times because we would help each other get into things. So if I was in the rig, like in your photograph here, then Charles would have helped me in there and would have been out front listening to reactions and whatnot and coming back, and I would do the same during his thing. So it was a very busy day altogether. But I think the whole activating Mario system, I don't know if they still called it MERT at that point, Mario in real time. If they would have gone with the last one I did, I think we were to the point of using facial recognition stuff and little white dots on our faces to read, to activate Mario,
awesome.
having wires attached to our faces that ran up to screw drives in our helmets, and when an eyebrow would go up, it would drive the wire up and activate that particular sensor that was connected to Mario's right eyebrow. Very analog in that respect.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's just about everything I wanted to ask you, but it's been such an honor meeting you, and thank you very
I'm pleased
much.
as much.
Thank you very much for your time. I've really appreciated talking to you about this.
My pleasure, Evan.
You have a good one, sir.
No, you have a good one.
No, you have a good one.
That's right. I have a good one too.
See
Come on,
ya.
Evan.
Oh my God. And I've got that on recording.